Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of Harry Potter Trio Adventures. My name is April and I will be your host again this episode. Today with my guest Maddie, we will be discussing the character of Ron Weasley.
So excited.
Yay!
I love Ron. One of my favorite characters for sure.
What do you think of his personality or character traits?
I feel like he changes a lot. By the end of the series, he's a completely different character. He's so different from the beginning. And in the beginning, I think one of his biggest character flaws, he gets jealous easily, is one thing. That's a really big, you see a lot in Goblet of Fire, obviously. Yeah. I mean, also the seventh book in Deathly Hallows, you see it. It sticks up in everywhere, and you see it, and it's something that in the end he learns to get past it. Yeah. And he learns that not everybody is trying to do things to make him get jealous, and I think that's a really cool thing that he learns from his character traits.
What do you think of his family? Because he has a really, really big family.
He has a huge family. I love his family. Ginny Weasley is actually my favorite character. But his family, I feel like one thing is also, he's the youngest boy of his family. So Ginny gets special treatment because she's a girl, right?
Yeah.
So other than Ginny, he is the youngest. So he's, expected to be a lot like his older siblings in that aspect, right?
Yeah.
And he feels pressured, to be like Percy or to be like Charlie or to be like Bill and stuff. And his family, as much as I love Mrs. Weasley, I feel like she does put that pressure on him. And, that's something that he has to deal with. And he doesn't always get everything he wants because he's the last child. He gets hand-me-downs. They don't have enough money to get him new stuff all the time, stuff like that. So I think that's something. About you?
I think when we first meet him, he's just kind of there. Because when he first saw Harry, he was his family was helping him through the platform. When they first met, it was the act of kindness. I don't know if that, I don't know. I don't really know how to word it right now. And he cares a lot about Harry and Hermione because they're his best friends. We see this when in the first book he sacrificed himself for them to go on to the next level.
And even when he isn't talking to Harry or talking to Hermione, when he'll ignore them because he does that sometimes, you can still even then see that he cares about them. Even during Goblet of Fire when he was annoyed about Harry, he still didn't want him to die. I think although he was jealous obviously of Harry getting to be in the Triwizard Tournament, also deep down he was scared. I think it was something that he was trying to cover with jealousy because he was so scared for Harry. So I think he just cares so much about them, and sometimes he doesn't show it the greatest way, but he really does.
First, he was oh, I didn't get in that Triwizard Tournament, and Harry did. Harry somehow got in, and I think Ron might have been jealous to always be in his shadow or to get the money.
And that's another reason why I'm so glad that Harry gave Fred and George the money, because they would have never been able to get where they were. But that's different characters.
It's kind of cool, Harry gave Fred and George the money, which impressed their mom for once, that Fred and George were actually capable of making money and doing something.
They didn't take it and blow it on random stuff, because I feel like that's something you could maybe expect from them in the earlier books. But they went, okay, well, we have a goal. We want to get somewhere, so we're going to use it, and we're going to be strategic, and we're going to actually start something. And they still were able to manage to fit in, obviously, the fun aspect of it, which is what they've always wanted. And I think, that's probably something that Ron could have learned about. But he ended up working as an Auror, didn't he? Also, or he's something with the Ministry. I know that.
I think he originally was an Auror, and then I think he went to help George with the joke shop.
Oh, yeah, that's very possible. So I think he probably learned a lot of stuff from George.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no, it was Harry that went to work in the Ministry after being an Auror, right? And then Hermione became Minister of Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was like, yeah, I'm the best. I hope Spew worked out for her. SPEW worked out for her.
Yeah, I hope so too. What's your favorite event or thing that happened to him in the books?
Okay, something I wish was in the movies is where in the fifth book, where they're at the Ministry of Magic and the brains. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Anybody who's listening who hasn't watched or read the book, or read the book, because spoiler alert, he gets attacked by brains and he has permanent scars on his arms because they're they got like tentacles or something. They like grab onto him. It's so weird, but it's such a cool thing. And I mean, as much as I hate saying I wish pain upon a character, I wish he had gone through that, because I feel like that's something that probably helped him grow, I feel like so much was left out of that book. I will say the fifth movie is still one of my favorite movie adaptations, but I still think they could have added so much. Although I will say, I do think Dolores Umbridge in that movie was incredible. The actress for her, they couldn't have picked a better actress. She made it. I hate her even more in the movie than the book, and that's saying something. So the movie definitely did some really good things there. But I wish they had the spinning doors in the fifth. Do you remember that? Where they were in that room and they were trying to figure out where they were going, and the room like spun around them.
I know there was like a big room with the doors.
Yeah, there's a big room with a bunch of doors, and then when they were trying to figure out where they were going, the doors spun, so they couldn't figure out where they were going. I remember that. I thought that was like cool. But yeah, they destroyed all the time turners. A lot of stuff happened then that they left out of the movie.
Yeah.
Which I wish they didn't.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing, I don't know, that
Event.
Scenario that was like happened to Ron was in the seventh book. This is like the first thing popped into my mind. He and Hermione went down to the Chamber of Secrets and they destroyed Hufflepuff's cup. And they had their first kiss.
I will say, the movie changed the first kiss, and because the movie just basically completely got rid of SPW, right?
Yeah.
Movie got rid of SPW, mostly got rid of Dobby, which is sad.
Winky.
Poor Winky. But the one thing is that they had their kiss in the Chamber of Secrets because they got rid of SPW. Because in the book, Ron was like, "Oh God, we gotta save the house elves," and Hermione was like, "Oh my God, I love you."
Yeah.
That's basically what went down. So it was so much cooler in the book because it was like, it's him showing that he does care,
Yeah.
He's kind of been like, oh, SPW or SPEW, as he called it, is weird and horrible, and who cares, And then at the end, he's like, well, maybe I do care about it a little bit. And, I think that's such a learning moment. I think it's so cool that he finally realizes that it does matter.
Yeah. It's a really cool, transition for him and Hermione. Hermione probably felt like, Ron probably doesn't really care about my
goals.
Yeah.
This is like one of her biggest goals at the time. Like ever since fourth book did it start or fifth book?
I think it's fourth book.
I think you're right. I think it was fourth book that started. But all of that time he wasn't really caring, and it was one of her biggest goals. Like, you can really tell with how much effort she wanted to put into that. I will say, sometimes she did not go about it the best way. She did just kind of try and force them with knitting the hats or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she was like, take a hat, be free. But then Dobby took them all, which I love that. He just walks in, hats are this tall, just insane.
Okay, well, we didn't really talk about this. So, how is he described in the book?
How is he described in the book? Okay.
He's red hair.
Tall, lanky, gangly, that kind of stuff. He's skinny and tall. Let's be so clear. The movies didn't do any of the, by height and stuff like that. The movies didn't do them justice. Because Ron was supposed to be really tall, Of course, Harry in the movie is short. Daniel Radcliffe's very short, so I guess it did kind of help in that aspect. But still, the twins were supposed to be short.
Yeah, weren't they supposed to be, short and stocky?
Yeah. Yeah, but Ron, he has so many freckles, which they didn't really do too much. Obviously, red hair, of course. Flaming red hair. Honestly, I don't think the movies did the red hair justice either. I know they gave him orange hair. I'm looking for bright red. Have you seen the Mina Lima illustrated versions?
I've got a book. I just haven't, read it in a while.
I've read all three of them that are out right now.
Oh, I haven't got the third one, but...
Oh my God, I got the third one right after it came out.
Nice.
But in those books, he's drawn so well. All of them are. I love the art style they do in that. They did a lot of concept art for the movie as well. I think they designed the Marauders map.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
that's really cool.
I love the Marauders map. But they drew him, and his hair was probably the color a little bit oranger than a stop sign. Just a little bit oranger. It was so bright. I loved it. It was so well done because obviously they're magical. I feel like you can have some of those more extreme features in magical. Obviously, just magical wizards and witches, they have more, they can live longer. They have all these different stuff. So I feel like it would make sense if they actually gave them bright red hair. I wish they'd done that better.
Flaming red hair.
Flaming red.
So we know that Ron is mostly single throughout the entire books. But Lavender, what do you think of her for Ron?
Well, think about this. I share a last name with her.
Oh yeah, you do. That's so funny.
She's interesting because she's an interesting character.
She is.
She also has curly hair like me. Anyways.
Whoa.
Related. We're sisters.
No way.
Anyways, so I think she is such an extreme character. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like she's like Onekins. You know, she's very silly in that way. And I think she needs someone who I don't know how to say this. I think a partner she would need is someone who kind of matches her personality in a way where it can be like an opposite almost, where she's like the more energetic one, the other one's more down to earth, be like, well, maybe, they balance each other out is what I would think she would need. Mm-hmm. That's obviously other people might think differently, but I think she's so extreme that I think she needs someone to balance her out a little bit. I don't think Ron is that person. I think Ron can be extreme in that sometimes, not in a very different way, but I think he can be extreme sometimes. I just don't think they did not work together, and obviously he made it work because he was desperate, I guess.
He was trying to get Hermione jealous.
He wanted Hermione to be jealous. He was jealous, obviously. He was just kind of wanted to do something about it. And I think if he wasn't jealous, he would not have at all even tried to go for Lavender.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think he would have tried a thing. But again, that's his jealous character traits popping out.
I would say Lavender is very clingy.
Yeah, definitely.
She herself thought she was thoughtful by giving him the my sweetheart.
I think she was, that's another example of her being so extreme,
Yeah.
She always wanted to be around him. She always wanted to be showing off that she was dating him and stuff like this. And, they kissed in public and all of this stuff. And it was just so insane.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when Ron was poisoned, I love how he ignores Lavender and talks to Hermione.
He says Hermione's name.
Acknowledges Hermione.
Acknowledges Hermione. That scene's so funny. The only thing is, whenever I actually was watching that movie the other day.
Really?
It was on TV. I don't usually watch Half-Blood Prince, but it was on TV, so I was watching it anyways. And that scene came on, and me and my mom were just talking about how awkward the adult actors must have felt trying not to just burst out laughing filming that scene, The way she just runs away in that scene, I feel like I could not do that scene. I would be crying of laughter. Like, I think, obviously, in person, I think it would be funnier than on TV. Because honestly, as much as that scene is funny, I don't think it's the funniest scene ever. But I think if I was there in person trying to film it, I would find it 1,000 times funnier. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it would definitely be hard to film. I'm sure there were definitely some scenes that were hard to film in that aspect. But yeah, I thought that was really silly. I think another thing about him being poisoned, when he was poisoned, the fact that Harry immediately knew what to do and not Slughorn. I'm pretty sure early on in that book, or at some point in one of the books, like 4th, 5th, 6th, somewhere in there, I feel like I remember Snape forcing him, forgetting a Bezoar in one of his potions. Like it's supposed to go in his potion or something, and he forgot to add it. I feel like I remember that.
I don't remember.
It's a very small detail, but I feel like I remember it and connecting it and being like, I wonder if that's why he remembered what the Bezoar does, because he thought he had tried so hard to remember that ingredient afterwards. So maybe I'm just the theory, a little thing. It's a very small detail, but I don't know why I remember it. But I thought it was, maybe that could be why. And obviously, also the Half-Blood Prince's potions book helps him so much. But I think the Half-Blood Prince's Shin book, if you notice something, Slughorn uses books.
Yeah.
Snape writes it on the board. He probably uses his own instructions from those books when he writes it on the board, right? I'm thinking that the reason that Hermione had never done so badly before that class was because Snape always used those better instructions.
Yeah, that's true.
That's something I noticed as well. I feel like that's probably... We're getting a little off topic, but
it's okay. I think that's interesting.
I thought that was another cool little detail.
Oh, what's your favorite book that he's in?
Basically,
what's your favorite book?
Your favorite book that he's in? I think it's only one. No, my favorite book. So I'm kind of tied. I have top three for sure. I'm not sure what order this would go in, though.
Okay.
Sorcerer's Stone, Prisoner of Azkaban, Order of the Phoenix are definitely my top 3 books. I don't know whether I could really put those into an order. I do think Prisoner of Azkaban might be my favorite.
Okay.
But I'm also in love with Remus Lupin, so that could very well be why.
Yeah.
The 5th one, obviously, the first one's such a classic. It's the first one. It's so magical, and it's not too dark yet, so it's just... it's like a comfort read, kind of.
Yeah.
And the fifth one is so well written with the way you hate Umbridge so much. As much as, obviously, I hate Umbridge. I can hardly stand reading that book sometimes. But it's so well written that I have to say it's in my top 3. It's really good.
Yeah,
so
it's really good.
What about you?
My favorite is definitely Deathly Hallows.
Deathly Hallows is good, of course. It's the end, you know.
It's the end game.
Okay, but Deathly Hallows Part 1 or Part 2 movie?
Part 2.
You're
More action.
certified cool.
More action. And I know this is not good, but we get to see more people die.
That's true. Rebus.
No.
Fred.
No.
I can't talk anymore.
Voldemort,
about them.
though.
True. That is a good one. That is a good one. There are definitely some very sad ones, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate when my favorite characters die. It's always my favorite character. My favorite character always dies.
At least he didn't die.
Yeah. True. My second favorite did, though.
Remus.
Yep.
So third book is also very interesting because Ron finds out he's been not sleeping with a rat. He's been sleeping with Peter Pettigrew, which he's supposed to be declared dead.
Yeah, Peter Pettigrew is disgusting.
Yeah.
Certified nasty. Ugh. How nobody realized also that this rat had been alive for over 10 years. Like, he had just been, chilling. He was not dead. How did Molly not question, like, why is my rat surviving more than 3 years? It's odd.
I think I need to learn your secrets of how you're keeping alive. Elixir of life.
Yeah, give me your
secrets.
Yes.
Okay, this is the one thing I hate about the Prisoner of Azkaban movie. So in the movie, when they're in the shack, Hermione protects Harry, but in the book, Ron protects Harry with a broken leg.
Yes. Oh my God. They left out all of Ron's best character traits.
I
in
know,
the
and they give them
movies.
to Hermione. I'm like,
They made him the comedic relief in the movie, and I hate it because Ron had so many good lines.
I know.
And there's very few times where I accept a line being changed to another character. I don't think I like any of the times where Ron's line is changed because the thing is, Ron knows so much about the magical world. Like, sure, Hermione reads, but she grew up in the Muggle world.
Yeah.
Ron knows like their culture, Ron's the one that is able to tell Harry, oh yeah, so this is normal in the wizarding world. Hermione doesn't know because she doesn't have that experience. She's read books. That doesn't mean she has physical, real life experience.
Yeah.
And he grew up with it. And I hate that they gave all of his knowledge to Hermione.
we know Hermione's smart, but
Yeah, she's not the only smart one. They're all smart. There's a reason they didn't all die.
yeah.
Because they're all smart.
Now that we have talked about Ron in the books, let's move on to the next segment, Ron in the movies. We've already blown our anger, but
Yeah. Okay, now time for more.
well, we've already kind of talked about this. But what are you most angry about, like the filmmakers for changing?
Okay, so obviously I've already said that I hate they changed his character traits. Here, let me think of something else. I don't like the way they portrayed, the way he, in Goblet of Fire, I feel like we've talked a lot about Goblet of Fire, after he was jealous of Harry. In the movie, he doesn't really immediately try to apologize. In the book, he's so apologetic after he sees Harry defeat the Hungarian Horntail. He goes to his, tent, and he's like, I'm so sorry, In the movie, he's still, not 100% over his jealousy, I guess, when he apologizes. Like, he comes out and they're listening to the Screaming Egg, and he comes out and he's still all sulky,
Yeah.
Like, he's, in the book, he's so, happy after he finally apologized. He's like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, and he's all happy, and I'm so glad you survived and all this stuff. And in the movie, he's not, it takes him some time. And obviously, I feel like the reason I prefer the book way of that is because he's been holding this in. Obviously, he's covering it with jealousy. He is jealous, but he's also scared. So the reason he finally got over the jealousy was because he was just so glad that Harry didn't die. His fear took over during the match, and that's probably when he went oh my God, I'm so dumb, So I wish it was more immediate in the movie that he apologized.
But, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Do you think his personality changed from book to movie? Well, you already said yes.
100%. It changed so much. They removed all of his best character traits. I feel like in the movie, I hardly even know whether I can classify him as a Gryffindor. he feels almost, I don't know what house he feels not as Gryffindor, because he's not, I feel like the most thing that people would like go to is like, oh yeah, then he's like Hufflepuff. He's not though. He's loyal, but he also gets so jealous, and he doesn't talk to them. He's not Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
I feel like he almost leans towards Slytherin throughout a lot of the movie. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like he doesn't feel quite as Gryffindor.
Yeah, I feel like if like he wasn't in the line of Gryffindors, he'd be sorted into another house.
I feel like he was, because his Gryffindor traits did show throughout the books.
That's true. That's right.
And he was a Gryffindor in the books, at least. In the movie, I feel like he was kind of a mix of Gryffindor and Slytherin, and maybe a little bit of Hufflepuff thrown in there. Probably because he's always eating in the movie. Like a Hufflepuff, stereotypical Hufflepuff, I should say. Mm-hmm. Not all Hufflepuffs are starving.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish they actually, as much as I'm not too excited for that TV show remake that they're doing, I feel like maybe they can actually get Ron right.
Yeah.
If they can get Ron right, I will, appreciate it. I'm going to watch it no matter what, even if it's even worse than some of the movies. If it's worse than Half-Blood Prince, I might not. But Half-Blood Prince was bad. It could have been worse, I guess. There's definitely been worse movie remakes of Percy Jackson. Movies, not TV show. TV show's fine. Very different still, but it's unique. Anyways, wrong to fandom. I think I'm going to watch it anyways. I just think they have an opportunity to get so much things better, and if they actually listen to the fans. And as much as, honestly, if they were listening to the fans, they wouldn't be making the remake. But, you know what I mean? If they listen to the fans and actually do stuff that they want, then I think it will be successful, Yeah. I think they can get Ron right. I think they can get Ginny right, I think they can get some of these characters, which are completely wrongly portrayed in the movies, right. Ginny's the worst in the movies. When I say Ginny's my favorite character, I mean Book Ginny.
Book Ginny.
Book Ginny is the coolest bad bleep.
Oh, yeah.
She's the coolest character, ever. She's so awesome, and she stands up for herself. She in the earlier books, she's shy and stuff, but she grows into herself, and she becomes her own independent woman. I love that, and they did that completely wrong in the movie too.
She's literally just Harry's romantic interest in the movies.
Let me tie your shoes.
Oh my god, that scene is so bad.
Please zip up my dress. No, please save me. Also, their first kiss. Can we just talk about that real quick? It's completely off topic.
Oh, yeah.
In the book, it's after they win the Quidditch Cup, and they're so excited and they're so happy. In the movie, just to blank face, they're in the room of requirement for some reason. What?
How did we get there?
Literally. Oh my god, it's just so odd. They have no chemistry in the movie. Even if off-screen, Daniel Radcliffe and Bonnie Wright could have had so much chemistry off-screen, but clearly, just the way they were written completely ruined it. Obviously.
In the books, I love how they won the Quidditch Cup, right? And everybody was watching them kiss.
Yes.
And the
they
room
were
requirement,
so proud of it.
Nobody was there.
Yeah, and then it looks over at Ron. He's just like, okay. He just shrugs. Whatever.
Well, he's giving his approval to Harry, which I think is really nice of him.
Yeah. Another character growth moment, you know? He's growing. At first he was like, I don't know how I feel about this, Because he was always so oh my god, my sister's going off and dating Dean and all this stuff, and
Oh my god, she's dating Michael Corner. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and all this stuff. And then finally he's like, well, you know what? Maybe she does need to be her own person, And then his best friend dates her. And he's like, okay.
Well, if you need to.
Whatever.
How do you think Rupert Grint, portrayed Ron in the movies?
Okay. I think it depends on what movie you're talking about, I feel like one thing, I think this is probably debatable, and I think some people would disagree with me. I think he was pretty good in the 7th movie. I think, obviously, it's...
the
7th
part one?
Movies.
Oh, okay.
I guess
Both movies, okay.
No, both movies. I think he was pretty good. I think they portrayed the way he left and came back pretty well.
Okay, yeah.
I think they probably could have done better, but of course they could. The movies, they could have always done better. It's a movie. It's never going to be as good as the book.
Never going to be perfect.
It's never going to be exact to the book, and that's okay. Movies, when you make something into a movie, it's supposed to have a bit of its own thing, It should not be a word for word put onto a screen thing, because if it's word for word, that's just how people picture it in their heads. They want something different when they see a movie. So I think he was portrayed pretty well in the 7th movie. I think the when he kills the Horcrux is a really good scene.
It's a really good scene.
I think it's really well done. I think they do pretty good with that in the 7th movie.
Everything was coming on towards him. He was like, okay, don't freak out. Don't freak out. There's spiders, Harry and Hermione kissing, and it was like, he still managed to destroy the Horcrux.
And I think that's such an important moment, and they did it justice in the movie. There's a lot of things they didn't do justice, but they did that justice, and I think it was really well done. And obviously, again, the TV show has room to improve for it. Not saying that'll be out for another 10 years, but honestly, I just think that was really impressive and well done.
Okay, I also like in the 7th movie or book, the first part, whatever, Ron comes back, saves Harry from a pool of cold water. While trying to get the sword of Gryffindor. And does he get the sword in Gryffindor, right? He goes down and gets the sword into Gryffindor and destroys the Horcrux with it. I thought that was really brave of him.
Yeah, it was very brave. That is a scene where actually his Gryffindor comes out in the movie for once. For once. But yeah, I think that's such an incredible scene. And as much as, a lot of people have said throughout the books that they don't know if Ron feels as Gryffindor as Harry or Hermione. Yeah. I've heard a lot of that. I think he really is. In some of these scenes, they really show it. Like, this scene, it's so brave of him to not only obviously get the sword of Gryffindor, that's like obvious bravery, but the fact that he was brave enough to come back.
Yeah.
The fact that he was brave enough to own up to it, admit that he was wrong, and risk those consequences. And he was brave enough to go back to them. And obviously some people could argue that's a Hufflepuff trait because he's loyal, but he also left in the first place, I think a Hufflepuff wouldn't leave in the first place.
Yeah, that's true.
But, I think it's just so brave of him that he came back. I think that's a huge moment.
What do you think of his Quidditch and his time at Quidditch?
Whoa, his Quidditch is something.
Yeah.
In the books, he's a keeper, so he's supposed to block the goals. I think he gets so scared. He's so scared to humiliate himself because he has been humiliated by Draco Malfoy and by his brother, by the twins, stuff like that. I mean, maybe not publicly by the twins, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Stuff has happened before, and he has to overcome his fear. And obviously, throughout a lot of his Quidditch career, I guess you could say, he isn't able to. It's so hard for him, but I think something that says it is when he thought he took the Felix Felicis.
Oh.
And he performed so well.
Yeah.
He didn't actually. I think it shows that he is truly capable. He's just so scared. But once he took that, he was so confident that he was going to be able to do it. Because he tricked his brain to thinking. So he knew he could do it.
He could do it.
You can tell. He has that ability, and he just struggles to actually do it sometimes, but he has the ability to.
I like how they call him a king.
Yeah.
He actually was, though. He was amazing.
I will say that song was pretty rude. But
at first
it was Draco Malfoy singing it. He said some very rude stuff about it.
Yeah.
And do I remember correctly in saying, did the Gryffindors kind of change up the song a little bit? Yeah. And they made it positive,
Yeah.
They're very positive.
Since now we have discussed the character of Ron in both the books and the movies, let's end the episode with the summary. During this episode, we discussed and learned a lot about Ron Weasley and his time in the books. Be sure to tune in next time to hear about Hermione Granger with Even. Maddie, thank you for sharing your thoughts and coming onto the podcast today.
I had so much fun. Thank you for having me. Hope I'll be back soon.
Also, thank you for listening. Have a magical day.